Oh man, it's cold outside. I've got the faucet dripping, the heat is working. Maybe there's some St. Louis City SC rumors that might warm me up today. Fabrizio Romano, what does he have to... Niko Gioacchini to Como? The Italy or the Switzerland side? I'm Tom Franklin, your resident soccer zombie, and please like and subscribe while I hyperventilate. Here we go. So yes, St. Louis City SC might have its first big player sale in its young history, if Fabrizio Romano is to be believed. And considering it is Fabrizio Romano, you can probably believe him. Fabrizio says, quote, "Understand Como FC sent a proposal to St. Louis City for striker Niko Gioacchini. Gioacchini has agreed to terms with Como. Now it's between the two clubs. He has scored 10 goals in St. Louis expansion season in MLS when the new franchise finished top of the league. 10 goals in MLS in a part-time starting role is bound to get you noticed, and it's likely Como saw the 23-year-old striker as a worthy investment, not just for the future, but for right now. At the time this is being recorded, Como sit third in Serie B, tied with Venezia for the second automatic promotion slot, but only behind them on goal difference. If Como stay in third, it goes into a playoff spot with 5 other teams for the final promotion slot. So it's safe to assume that Como probably would prefer to avoid that and finish second or better, and it's looking for ways to do just that. And it's safe to assume that they're looking at Gioacchini and his 10 MLS goals this past season as someone that can not just ensure them promotion, but also provide a valuable attacking option in Serie A, provided Como do get promoted this season. And for Gioacchini, it makes sense for a few reasons. For one, we know that he's been eyeing a return to Europe. After all, it is bigger stage, bigger money, and bigger notoriety, sure. But perhaps his interest in Como and Italy in general might be a bit more personal for him. For instance, his father is Italian, and Niko spent part of his childhood in Parma, Italy, so he is familiar with Italy and what it has to offer. So let's say St. Louis and Como hash out a deal like I'm sure they're already working on now. What kind of return can St. Louis expect? Transfermarkt has Niko's value at €2.5 million. Now, in the case of Nicholas Dewar and Thomas Totland, that doesn't necessarily mean that Como will have to fork over $2.5 million. It might be less than that up front, but with performance incentives and a future sell-on clause, like in the Dewar deal. It's one way for buying teams to defray some of the acquisition costs, and it's a way for a selling team to net some money down the road, a real win-win for both. For instance, Minnesota United has a sell-on clause should St. Louis sell Aziel Jackson. That means Minnesota gets a cut of whatever St. Louis gets in a transfer, even though Aziel is no longer a Minnesota player. This deal is also important for something that I've been talking about a lot in my very short YouTube career. These type of deals send a signal to thousands upon thousands of soccer players around the world that, hey, St. Louis might not be a bad place to develop. After all, Gioacchini is an expansion pick from just 1 year ago. After his career floundered in Orlando, he cost St. Louis nothing to get him. He took his opportunities to get 10 goals in the MLS, and now he's looking at a multi-million-dollar deal to possibly play in Italy's top flight next season. If St. Louis gets $2.5 million for Gio, do you think that the likes of Dewar and Totland might feel a little bit vindicated for uprooting their lives, moving to a faraway land, and signing in St. Louis to develop? What about Sam Adeniran and Aziel Jackson, who are both eyeing big European moves at some point in their careers? And speaking of Big Sam, a big question on a lot of St. Louis fans' minds this morning is, what does this do for the depth at striker? I'm going to pull up Matt Baker's projected depth chart again. I mentioned in the Dewar video that there was not a single backup on St. Louis that I would hate having to play semi-regular minutes in a pinch. That doubly applies for the striker position, where Gio and Big Sam back up Joao Klaus. But sometimes St. Louis does play with a 2-striker formation. So who fills Gio's spot on the depth chart? 18-year-old Caden Glover is a phenom for sure, but is it his time yet? John Klein impressed for St. Louis City 2 last season. He played striker at St. Louis University. Does he get a promotion now? Ludwig Thoresen played a little striker overseas, and Celio Pompeu has sometimes slid over there in a pinch. So is the answer internal or external? Well, we know one option it won't be. No! So if this deal does go through, and yes, it does still have to be hashed out, it will be sad to see Niko leave St. Louis. We won't forget how he stepped up when Joao Klaus went down. We won't forget that wonder goal he scored off the Valley against LA Galaxy on my birthday. And we won't forget the passion that he played with here in St. Louis. But it is a good thing that someone like Niko is getting this kind of interest from an Italian team, quite possibly playing in the Italian top flight next season. It's just a circle of soccer life for these type of deals to happen. But do you think Italy is the right move for Niko? And who would you like to see step up to take his spot on the roster? Drop a comment below, and make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. I'm Tom Franklin, your resident soccer zombie, and in realtà indosso I pantaloni. Fa freddo.